scenes, they're developing all these restrictions. The FDA has been coming out with a new warning. We've been waiting for it since Dr. Dave received my PowerPoint presentation here. The FDA made their ruling, and that was on July 27th or 28th. I'll go ahead and tell you what it is now because it's the biggest news in dentistry, and nobody's hearing about it right now. The FDA has now come out and has changed the status of amalgams. It has changed it from a Class 1 product, meaning it was a low-risk device, to a Class 2 device, meaning it is a moderate-risk product. It will not go any higher than that. The only other place it can go to is Class 3, and that's a very highly dangerous product. If we go to that point, I don't think it'll ever get there because of it would be the biggest class action lawsuit ever if that were to happen.
Yeah.
So there's over 1 billion silver fillings out there, and it would be unbelievable. It would probably destroy dentistry at that point.
You'd probably make a lot of lawyers happy too.
It would, but I think that's the reason you will not see it go any higher in this. But from that standpoint, I think they've made their point that the future of amalgam is on its way out. It shouldn't be used anymore. We know it, and I think that's as far as you're going to see it go. And I think the dental schools and everything else will stop teaching how to use it and just move on to different types of restorations. So now that this new FDA ruling came out, what I'm about to speak about kind of is hindsight now, but I'll go ahead and tell you about it. From until this past week, the ADA statements on mercury, the way they approached it in the beginning was that they said mercury did not leak out of the fillings. It was bound inside of it and didn't leak out. And dentists like myself always said, sure, it's leaking out. We kept proving the points, and they're like, okay, it does leak out in very small amounts, but it's not a big deal. And then we kept arguing, and they said, okay, we admit it's coming out in large amounts, but it's metallic mercury, not methylated mercury, which is the thing that everybody's so scared about. Well, without getting too detailed here, yeah, there's 3 different types of mercury. There's metallic mercury or elemental mercury, and this is what amalgam is in. There's particle-bound, and there's also oxidized or ionic mercury. All these different products from factories, from dental amalgams and other places, when the mercury leaks out, gets in the air, or into a water line, it ends up in lakes and oceans. And it's microscopic bacteria in these bodies of water that convert those different mercuries into methylated mercury or methylmercury. And then from there, you start with the algae and the plankton, and it eats it, and the bigger fish eat that, and it goes up the food chain to where the tunas are eating the smaller fish, and that's where we are eating those, and the concentrations in these fish is tremendous, and that's where our concern with mercury is occurring. And it's estimated at this time that over 300,000 newborns every year are at increased risk of learning disabilities associated with in utero exposure to methylmercury. So that's why we're hearing all the concern, and that's why we're only allowed to eat so much fish a week and being told all these restrictions. So even though the ADA has been saying all this time that, you know, the mercury is not a problem, and it started off like it doesn't leak out at all, to finally saying, yeah, it does leak out in large amounts, it's a different mercury, we can prove in every way that that's wrong. And then behind the scenes, the ADA has been always trying to get restrictions on it to make sure that the mercury from our offices are not leaking out into the public water lines. And I kind of put my own defense up here when the ADA said that mercury doesn't leak out. This is actually an appliance for snoring and sleep apnea. If we want, at the end here, we can talk about that some, but that could be a whole other discussion or lecture if I do okay today. But I think you can look at this and you can see exactly where the 2 silver fillings are in this person's mouth. So picture says 1,000 words. Obviously, these things are leaking. This was something I took off from the Michigan State University Office of Radiation, Chemical and Biological Safety. There was the website. I'll read it for you. Accidents have resulted in several cases of mercury poisoning in Michigan in the past 2 years. 4 members of a Lincoln Park family were killed after one member attempted to refine dental amalgam silver fillings, in his home while attempting to recover the silver. High levels of mercury were found throughout the house, including wrapped food inside the freezer. The entire house had to be demolished and disposed of in a hazardous waste landfill.
Wow. Wow.
But of course, it's not, from the ADA standpoint, it's not a problem. You know, it's safe to continue to put in our mouths. The World Health Organization, this came off their website, and basically this graph just says that the higher number of silver fillings, the higher amount of mercury concentration in the brain. Okay, so as a person had more silver fillings in their mouth, there was more mercury found in the brain. Now, the funny part about this is for some reason alcoholics had less mercury in their brain than the non-alcoholics. I'll leave that up to you what you should do.
Drink more alcohol, huh? Golly. I wonder.
Now, this is something, of course, a patient never sees. This was the label. I'm sure it's changed now. When we buy the amalgam product, this is on it. And the very beginning of it says, this dental amalgam product contains mercury. The placement of a dental amalgam in a patient will increase the level of mercury in the body. And it goes on to saying the use of a rubber dam may decrease the amount of mercury absorbed by a patient during the removal or replacement of an amalgam. The health authorities of various countries, including Canada, Germany, France, United Kingdom, Norway, and Austria, have recommended against the placement or removal of an amalgam in certain individuals such as pregnant and nursing women and persons with impaired kidney function. Since this came out, I have not bought this material in years. This is 5-10 years old when I stole it from somebody. Since that time, in January of 2008, Norway and Sweden have completely banned amalgam. In April of 2008, Denmark completely banned amalgam. Germany has gone on to ban types of amalgam. Canada has limited the amounts of silver fillings an adult can have to 4 and kids to 1. And most countries are now adopting to where it should not be given to young kids or pregnant females. So you can't buy, I mean, if you think about it, you can't use a thermometer or even find a thermometer that has mercury in it. And so why is it not, it's not, they took them off the market because it's unsafe for us to have a mercury thermometer and the problems we can have there, but for some reason it's still okay for us to put mercury into our teeth and into our body. We could go into all the problems here that it says about mercury and what it causes, but it causes everything from kidney damage. Everything gets affected by it, but some of the biggest problems are the learning disabilities and the neurological problems that occur from high levels of mercury. Now, a lot of dentists that still use amalgam and stuff, they try to tell you it doesn't fracture teeth. As I routinely take out silver fillings, these are just pictures I can't help but show. We always see cracks going around the fillings. They just expand and cause the tooth to crack. You can see a crack here, see a crack here, here, here. Well, if you look closely, you notice that this crack goes straight through here, straight through the middle of the tooth, and back out. This is where the nerve sits. And it has actually split this tooth. This person, in the end, is going to lose this tooth because of one small silver filling. Same here. We have removed the silver filling. You can see a fracture line here, going straight through the tooth, coming across here, coming back out over here. Again, the chances of saving this tooth are very slim. We're at least looking at root canals and crowns before it's all over.
Dr. Luna, when somebody's teeth look like that, are they in much pain? I mean, I guess I think I asked that question before, and David asked it. I typed it to him. It just looks so painful.
It's amazing. Like the picture I have up now, we see this every day, and typically there's no pain associated with this.
Wow.
And I've always tried to figure out why. As a dentist doing root canals, there's many times we've had a silver filling, we'll go in and we go to where the nerve of the tooth sits, and we take out the nerve. That's what a root canal is. And we can tell that it's been very dry and dead for a long time. So I have a feeling that in situations like this one here with this large silver filling in the tooth, even though half this tooth broke off, The nerve's probably been dead in this tooth for a while, and that's why there's no pain.
Okay, that makes sense.
And we have a lot of dentists, of course, that will try to tell you that the newer products we're using, which we're going to talk about in a second, they're not as strong as silver fillings. Okay, I can agree to that. That's fine. This product is very strong. It's metal. Here it is. It's sitting here, but the problem is it looks fine, but the rest of the tooth broke off. So you can tell me it's strong, but it's in a sense, it's too strong.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So this person here is now leading